Welcome to our deep dive today into the world of AI, specifically looking at the recent AI summit in Paris, and in particular, India's role in it all. Shaping the future of this tech, we've got world leaders, tech giants, policy experts.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. And you know, this summit, it wasn't just your typical tech get-together. It was a platform for really important discussions
Yeah.
about AI's impact on everything, really. Global security, the
Yeah.
job market.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that India co-hosted the summit
Mm-hmm.
and was announced as the next host speaks volumes about their growing role
Mm-hmm.
in the AI world. But
Yeah.
wasn't all smooth sailing. The U.S. and U.K., they actually decided not to sign that final declaration on sustainable and inclusive AI.
Yeah, that was a pretty big development. The US and UK, they had some reservations about the wording in the declaration, particularly when it came to intellectual property. And data governance, they felt it didn't really address their concerns about potential limitations on innovation and economic competitiveness. So their decision not to sign, it kind of suggests that there might be,
Okay.
a growing divide in how different countries approach AI governance, which could have big implications down the line.
Interesting. Adds another layer of complexity, doesn't it? And speaking of adding layers, we can't forget about India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, and quite a statement at the summit. He said, "We are at the dawn of the AI age that will shape the course of humanity. No one holds the key to our collective future and shared destiny other than us humans." It's a pretty powerful reminder that ultimately the decisions we make about AI will determine its impact on all of us.
Yeah, Modi's statement, it's interesting. He seems to be acknowledging both the potential of AI and the risks, right? It's like he's calling for a balanced approach that recognizes the need for innovation, but also emphasizes ethical considerations, global collaboration.
Yeah. And that seems to contrast, maybe just on the surface, with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance's message, which focused more on optimism about AI's potential
Mm.
and, American leadership in the field. Makes you wonder if we're seeing the early stages of a global AI tug of war, with different countries vying for influence, control over this transformative technology.
That's a good point. Vance's message definitely highlights the U.S.'s commitment to staying a leader in AI innovation. Development, it's a competitive field, and the U.S. is making it clear they're not backing down. But before we jump to conclusions about, head-to-head rivalry, let's hear what Shashi Shetty Party has to say. He's the co-founder of the AI for India program.
Yeah, good idea. What did Shashi Shetty Party have to say about all this?
Well, he's suggesting that Modi's stance, it's not necessarily about rivalry, but more about finding a middle ground. He thinks India can play a crucial role in bridging the gap between those contrasting viewpoints. It's not about picking sides. It's about fostering dialogue and finding common ground to ensure that AI benefits everyone.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about India's specific approach to AI. I noticed Modi emphasized job creation and upskilling the workforce. In the face of potential job displacement from AI, it sounds like they're being proactive to prepare their citizens
Yeah.
for the economic and social changes that AI is going to bring.
Yeah, this is huge. India has a massive population, and a young one at that. If they can successfully upskill and reskill their workforce for an AI-powered future, it could have a huge impact on their economy. They could become a global model
Right.
for how to handle the workforce challenges of the AI age.
So how are they actually doing that? What's the plan?
Well, their India AI mission, it's built on 3 key areas. First, they're investing a lot in building computing capacity, the infrastructure needed to power AI systems.
So it's not just software, it's hardware too. They're really building
Yeah.
the foundation for a robust AI ecosystem. What else?
The second focus is on making data sets publicly available. This is critical because AI algorithms, they learn from data, and having access to diverse data sets can
Yeah.
really accelerate AI development innovation. But it's not just about raw data. They're focusing on data enrichment.
Data enrichment.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a little more on that. What does that actually involve?
It's about ensuring the data is high quality, relevant, and properly labeled. For AI training, think of it like refining raw data into a valuable resource that can be used to train AI algorithms effectively, cleaning and organizing data, removing inconsistencies, adding context to make it more usable for AI applications.
Okay, makes sense. So they're not just collecting data, they're making sure it's actually valuable,
Yeah.
usable for AI development. It sounds like they're trying to be a data powerhouse, which could be a game changer
Yeah.
in the global AI world. But we still have that question about the US and UK and that AI declaration. Is this just a small disagreement, or is it something bigger, a deeper division? in how nations are approaching AI governance.
Yeah, that's a good question. A big one. The US and UK, they didn't just disagree, they had specific concerns about certain parts of the declaration that they felt could hurt their ability to compete. In the AI world, it suggests a possible difference. In priorities, approaches to governing AI, it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds in the next few years.
That brings us to an even bigger question, doesn't it? Are we heading toward a fragmented AI landscape where different countries or regions have their own rules, their own standards? Or can we find some common ground to make sure AI development is responsible and beneficial on a global scale? It's a big question with big implications. For the future of AI, and for all of us, it's a lot to think about. All these different paths we might see in the future of AI. That idea of a fragmented AI world, everyone doing their own thing, could be a real mess. What kinds of problems could we see?
Well, just imagine a world with different data privacy laws, conflicting ethical standards for AI, maybe even a tech arms race, countries competing. For AI dominance, it could get pretty chaotic, unpredictable.
Not exactly a pretty picture, is it? But
Yeah.
let's look at the other side for a minute. What would a more unified approach to AI look like? Is that even realistic?
Yeah.
With all the geopolitical stuff going on?
Well, a unified approach. It would require a lot of cooperation between countries, working together on key issues like ethical guidelines, safety standards, maybe even regulations. For AI development, deployment, it wouldn't be easy. But if we could find some common ground, it could help, reduce some of those risks we were just talking about.
So it's about creating a framework that everyone agrees on, shared principles to guide AI development. Wouldn't that stifle innovation, though? I mean, technology is all about pushing boundaries, right? Constantly evolving.
I see your point. Finding that balance between encouraging innovation and making sure development is responsible, it's going to be a big challenge in this AI age. But a unified framework, it doesn't have to mean stifling creativity. Think of it like building a skyscraper. You need a solid foundation, blueprints, to make sure the building is safe, structurally sound. But that doesn't mean you can't have an amazing, innovative design.
I like that. So it's not about putting AI in a box. It's about creating a structure that lets it thrive safely, responsibly. And this is where India's approach is interesting, right? They seem to be pushing for that middle ground, seeing the risks, but also championing the potential of AI.
Right, exactly. And remember, they're already investing a lot in building up their AI capabilities, positioning themselves as a leader in data management, enrichment. They're not just talking about it, they're doing it.
Could they be the ones to bridge the gap between those different visions of AI? Maybe even guide things towards a more collaborative, responsible approach.
I think it's definitely possible. They've got the expertise, resources, and maybe most importantly, the diplomatic experience to be a major player on the world stage. And don't forget, India has a history of non-alignment. In international affairs, they've often charted their own course, not siding completely of one bloc or another.
Which, in this situation, could actually make them the perfect mediator, coming to the table with a fresh perspective, one that's not burdened by all that geopolitical baggage.
Exactly. That fresh perspective could be what we need to break through some of the roadblocks, find some common ground. It's going to be interesting to see how India uses their position in the coming years.
It really does feel like a turning point. But let's think about our listener for a second. We've been talking big picture, international relations, global strategies, the future of AI.
Yeah.
But what does all this mean for you? How is this going to affect your life?
That's a question we all need to be asking ourselves. Because no matter what happens, whether things become fragmented or unified, AI is going to have a major impact on all our lives. It's already changing how we work, learn, interact with each other, even how we think.
And it's not some far-off sci-fi thing anymore. It's happening now. AI is in our phones, our cars, our homes. It's almost everywhere you look.
And it's only going to get more pervasive. So the question is, how do we get ready for this AI-powered future? How do we make sure we're not just passive bystanders swept along by this tide of technological change, but active participants in shaping how this technology is developed and used?
That's a really important point, and I think one we should dive into a bit more. But first, let's take a moment to think about what we've talked about so far. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, exploring India's role in the AI world, the potential for collaboration and conflict, and that big question of how we prepare for a future shaped by artificial intelligence. But let's get practical for a minute. What can we actually do as individuals to navigate this AI world. It can feel so big,
Yeah. Yeah,
complex.
it can definitely feel overwhelming. I think the first step is awareness. We need to understand how AI is already affecting us, educate ourselves about its potential, the good and the bad. Don't just blindly accept the technology, ask questions, do your research, stay informed about what's happening.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
But beyond just understanding AI, are there any specific skills we should be focusing on to do well in this new world everyone's talking about? Robots taking our jobs. It's a little unsettling.
I get it. It's a valid concern. But while some jobs will definitely be automated, AI is also going to create new opportunities. The key is to be adaptable. Focus on things that are uniquely human, difficult for AI to replicate.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, think about things like creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, communication, emotional intelligence. Those are all areas where humans still have a big advantage over machines.
Skills robots can't steal, at least not yet. But it's a little intimidating to think about learning all these new things. Any advice on how to stay ahead of the curve without feeling like we're always playing catch up?
Embrace lifelong learning. Be curious, experiment. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Right.
There are so many resources out there, online courses, workshops, even just talking to people who are also trying to figure out this whole AI thing.
So it's not just about specific skills. It's about being able to learn
Yeah.
and adapt. We need to be flexible, ready to change as the world around us changes.
Absolutely. And that goes beyond just individuals, businesses, industries, even whole societies need to be flexible, willing to adapt their systems, their policies, their institutions to keep up with AI because
Yeah.
it's evolving so rapidly.
It's not just about
Yep.
learning new skills. It's about having a mindset of continuous learning, adaptation. The future belongs to those who can embrace change, stay curious, keep evolving.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The future isn't just something that happens to us. We create it by understanding AI, developing the skills we need, and being a part of the conversation about how it's developed. We can make sure it's used for good, that the benefits are shared by everyone.
Well said. That's a great note to end on. We've talked about India's influence, the potential for collaboration and conflict, and the choices we face. As we move into this new territory, it's complex, but it's exciting. The future of AI is still being written, and we all have a part in it.
That's something for all of you listening to think about. What part will you play? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions.